Joining me today on the 1045theteam.com podcast for the first time in 2015. We had him a bunch in the last year. Justin Andrews of News Channel 10. Justin, thanks for being with us today.
Pleasure to be on, Brady. It's been a while.
So today what we're going to do something a little different. Usually I just get on and ask you questions. Today we're going to make it a little more free-flowing, a little more conversational. You've seen a lot of local sports. I've seen a lot of local sports. Our job is just to be interesting and tell the Capital Region sports fan what's going on. We'll start with you. You were out at RPI hockey this week. The Engineers struggling this season, to say the least, despite two great wins against Union. What have you seen from Seth Affert's squad?
They're a team that, this weekend they had 4 of their captains suspended, and no one knows why exactly. So that could have played a factor in when they played Miami of Ohio. But Miami of Ohio is a really good hockey team. They're always in the top 10 throughout the year. And they have tons of guys that have played in the NHL. Alex Martinez of the Los Angeles Kings, who a lot of Rangers fans are not fans of because he scored that game-winning goal in Game 5. He's a former Red Hawk, but it just seems like RPI, they know what they can do. They have potential, but it just seems like they're lacking defense. They have a great goaltender, and he did a tremendous job this weekend, but he just needs help in front of him, and he needs guys to, not take penalties when they're needed and just get help and scoring support too. I mean, on Friday night they only lost 3-2, but they came back and they had a 5-on-3 within the last 2 minutes of the game, and they just couldn't get anything done against Miami of Ohio. But I feel like they're on the cusp of starting. They're starting to get better. But if you look at it though, they've lost 8 straight games. They've played against Boston University, Union. Union and Quinnipiac are obviously in their division, along with Harvard too. But they played a ton of top 20 talent in the NCAA, and so they're challenging themselves, which is getting ready for this final push in conference play where they're tied for 5th right now.
Switching gears over to Union in the ECAC. Union was off to a dreadful start, Justin, in defense of their national championship. They've come out of it, though, now. 10-7-2 overall, still 3-4-1 in conference play. Can you see the Dutchmen here after the new year making another strong push toward the playoff run in their end?
I really think you could. But at the same time, they've had questions in goal this year of Colin Stevens, the All-American, going to show up, or is Colin Stevens of this year going to show up? They've kind of had that in doubt. I was pretty impressed with their tie against Boston the other night. Granted, Jack Eichel didn't play last night, who many consider is one of the greatest U.S. American talents we've seen in a long time.
Could be a number 1 overall draft pick, right? Sorry to cut you off. Could be the number 1 pick in the draft.
He easily could be. It's between him and Connor McDavid. Everyone's saying this is like when LeBron, Carmelo, and Dwayne Wade went out in 2003 in the NBA draft. You could equal this to I believe it's the 1983 NFL draft where you had Marino, Elway, and all those Hall of Famers.
Jim Kelly.
Jim Kelly too. It's of that draft class. Everyone knows it's going to be deep, and maybe Buffalo Sabres fans are holding out hope that they either get Jack Eichel or Connor McDavid, but they have to stop winning. But going back to Union, I mean, they need to start playing better. They have a lot of conference games coming up. I believe they're in the bottom half right now in the ECAC, so they need to start getting some big wins over teams that are very good, like Harvard, Quinnipiac, and Cornell. Sorry to throw a plug out there for my hometown, but that team is starting to get better as well, too. So they need to start beating these top-tier teams.
Union on the road to open up conference play again in the new year, January 9th at Princeton, the 10th at Quinnipiac, the 16th home against Cornell. Justin, I'm sure you'll be at that game. Moving gears over to the hardwood, UAlbany, Justin, opens up conference play last weekend with a rout of Maine. I was at that game, 80-56. The Danes hit 9 threes. Will Brown's team looking for its 3rd straight America East title, looking for its 3rd straight trip to the NCAA tournament. I tell you what, Justin, this UAlbany team, they look pretty darn good right now.
They seem to be playing better. I've been at a couple games, but, you've seen them more than I would. I know they're all a bunch of players are battling some type of flu bug.
Yeah, the players.
Do you easily think they could make a 3rd straight appearance?
The player of the year in the conference is back for Stony Brook. His name escapes me at the moment. I'm looking forward to the first chance I'll get to see him play in person. UAlbany, though, I tell you what, the thing that's changed for them is that early in the year, I mean, look, Will Brown is a systematic guy. His UAlbany teams, they don't run a ton. They don't slow the pace down to a snail's pace either, but they don't run a ton. They run through an offense. They're deliberate. Peter Hooley is a great scorer, crafty around the basket. Sam Rowley's good inside. UAlbany was missing that lights-out knockdown threat from three. Hooley's starting to shoot it better from the outside. And Evan Singletary, a guy who's in their starting lineup, but a guy who's a newcomer to the program, is a guy who's really starting to shoot it well. He had 2 threes the other day. He had 5 in the second half of their last win prior to the holiday break. So they're starting to shoot it well from the outside. If they get that inside-out game going with Rowley and then the outside threats, UAlbany is going to be very, very dangerous in the America East.
I think they could be, but like you said, Stony Brook is always seems to be a very good team around this time of year in the America East. And then there's a couple teams that escape me right now, but they're all
Hartford.
Exactly, but we'll see what UAlbany can do. I think if they get guys healthy at the right amount at the right time, I think they'll do all right.
Hartford and Vermont, of course. Vermont always in it, always can give UAlbany a hard time. UAlbany beat them last year in the semifinals of the America East. You and I were at that game as well, so we saw UAlbany do it firsthand. Siena,
well,
go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. It's going to be hard for them if they do try to beat Vermont or any of those guys at home, because I believe the America East tournament's in Binghamton this year.
UAlbany is getting set for that run here after the New Year. Siena looking to make a run in the MAC. They fell to 2-2 in MAC play this week, and they lost to Iona. I think they're really missing the absence of Brett Bisping, big man who's going to be out potentially the whole season. It was originally slated at 8 weeks. We're probably in about week 3 of that, maybe week 4, but he could be out the whole season with this foot injury. He's a big man inside. Siena doesn't run super deep on the interior. When you have an injury like that, Justin, that can cripple you, especially your interior defense. It forces guys to not be able to get in foul trouble. You lose a score, you lose a leader.
Oh, yeah. Whenever I saw him last year in a couple games this year, he was a huge factor for them because he could also shoot the ball on the outside, but he was also could bang down low, get some rebounds with anyone down low, that whoever Siena was playing. But I think his loss is going to be huge right now. You can kind of see it right now with Javion Oganyemi. It seems to be their lone big man. They do have a guy that comes off a bench. His name escapes me right now, but Emo Salas was another big loss for them, I thought, at the beginning of the year. I thought if they had him down low at the beginning of the year, he's a guy who could just eat up minutes, just grab rebounds, get some block shots, and kind of disrupt the flow of the opposing team's offense. He's out for the whole year, but it seems like with those two out, they're trying to figure out what their identity is. Rob Poole's doing his best to keep it going, but it just seems like at times they are struggling, but at the same time they have success. If you look at yesterday against Iona, they did well. They shot well inside the paint, but outside of it, I believe they didn't do all that well shooting percentage-wise, so they're trying to figure out what type of rhythm they can get into.
Rob Poole, a 20-plus point game. Levon Long also playing well, strong interior player, had 16. So Siena starting to, they're trying to figure it out. Jimmy Patsos has said that if they can just get a couple of things going, they're going to be right in it down the stretch in MAC play, and I tend to think he's right. Justin, we'll get you out of here on this. I know you haven't been out as much on the high school circuit this year, but I want to get your opinion on this. Joel Winkowski of Lake George scored his 2,000th point yesterday. He's the 9th boys player in Section 2 history to do that, to accomplish that feat. He's one of my favorite players to watch in Section 2. I also enjoy Joe Cremo, Andrew Platek, Jaleel Nails, Kevin Herter. The list goes on. Who are the guys that you like to watch?
Winkowski is probably one of my favorites. I'm going to have to agree with you there. Every time I've seen him play, he's just a pure shooter. He just goes out there. It doesn't matter if he's 1 for 11 in the game so far. He'll just keep on shooting and somehow will find his rhythm. I saw him score, I believe, 38 points against Argyle last year. That game was ridiculous alone itself. But he's just a tremendous player to watch. Primo, as you said, is a fun guy to watch. Nails as well. I would recommend as a whole team to go watch is Schenectady. Right now they're 6-2. I saw them play against Kingston this past Saturday. They look like a really good threat right now out there. Also, Anthony Mack is a very good player as well, too, at Catholic Central. Yeah,
Mack is certainly heard he's going to look to go to the prep school route. Could be a Division I guy down the road. Long, athletic, good shooter, strong. And, Section 2 was loaded with good talent. Section 2 was loaded with good talent. Justin Andrews, WTEN, thanks for being with us today, pal, getting your insights here on Capital Region Sports.
No problem, Brady. Hope to make this a weekly thing.